Wonderful. Well, thank you, everybody for coming. My name is Linda Mercurio. I have the privilege of serving as the chair of the business department. And I also have the privilege of working with the best team of faculty and leadership and the best students. I wanted to thank our honored guests for coming to share their stories with us. Stories are so powerful. And learning about entrepreneurship, as particularly sort of the unique way oftentimes that women launch is really important for all of us to hear. But I also wanted to introduce and thank the coordinator of the entrepreneurship program, Helen Rose. Yes, certainly a round of applause and more is due for Helen. She is a senior adjunct professor here at the college, and she took on the role of coordinator as an adjunct. This was her brainchild. She did all of the heavy lifting to bring this to fruition, and I wanted to just extend my gratitude for you and all that you do for the business department and for the college. We're thrilled to have you here, and we're thrilled to be able to record this. And I also just wanted to put a shout out of thanks to those that are not here that also contribute so much to this, right? You know, the people in our public relations and marketing, our IT people, right? Our program administrative, support team. So thank you to all of them as well. And I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Linda is a great support. So, if you're in the business department, you're in good hands because she's a great leader for us. So I want to welcome you all, entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs and guests, to the Pathways to Prosperity, exploring women's entrepreneurial journey. This program is organized by the Center for Entrepreneurship and Business Excellence and the Business Department. We designed this to inspire and help students gain a better understanding of entrepreneurship, understand the benefits and the strengths that you can leverage that you already have that you can use in entrepreneurship. My name is Helen Rose. As I was introduced, I'm the coordinator for the entrepreneurship program and adjunct for business and entrepreneurship courses. This is also an event that is, you are not alone. We are not alone putting this event on. All across the country, campuses are holding events for Women's Entrepreneurship Week. So you are part of something greater. I want to thank our panelists here today to share with them sharing their stories. Our panelists today are Kishona Morrow, President and CEO of Simply Kishona. Thank you, Kishona. We have Nikki Nail, CEO of Lee Hawk and Realtor for, is it Cummings and Co Realtors. And we have Laura Bacon, founder and CEO of The Third. So thank you so much. As I will be asking a series of questions, and I'll be asking about their entrepreneurial journey, lessons they've learned, strengths they utilize, and the benefits of entrepreneurship. I ask that you hold your questions till the end, till after the panel speak. But I also want you to listen closely to the benefits that they have experienced with entrepreneurship and the strengths that they utilize. So you can look for what you need as an entrepreneur and how you can benefit as an entrepreneur. So let's get started. Are we ready? Okay. So first, I'm going to start with Kishona. I'm going to work down, okay? And so the first question, I would love to learn about your business and how you got started.
Cool. So again, my name is Kishona Marrow, and when I first got started with my business, honestly, I always knew I was an entrepreneur. I just knew that there was something more in me than what I was given credit for. And so I would get job after job and just was never fulfilled. You know, it's just like, this is not it. And it was much more than trying to figure out what I needed to do, you know, in my life in terms of career wise. I would just get there and just not be satisfied. So what I did was about 10 years ago, or even more, I was looking for the common denominator of all the jobs that I had. And I was like, what is it that just drives me, that makes me feel good, that makes me wake up in the morning and just feel good about going to work? And the common denominator was people. I loved people. And specifically, I love to see people become better. So therefore, I got into jobs that was centered around people. So I got into staffing and recruiting. I did some work for other human resources companies. I was an executive director at another nonprofit organization. So everything that I did was around making people or helping people to become better. So about 10 years ago, I said, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm going to now leave the organization that I'm with, and I'm going to start speaking. And that is how I started this business. Of course, it has turned into so much more now because I've allowed myself to evolve. And that's one thing about entrepreneurship, and I'm sure we'll get into that later, but you never stay the same. Everything evolves, just as culture does. You have to make sure that you keep up with the culture, and as a matter of fact, you have to think forward and make sure that you're thinking ahead of the culture and what can I do to make sure that I provide what is needed in order for people to purchase my services. So that's a little bit about how I got started.
Awesome. Thank you, Kishona.
Absolutely.
So Vicki, tell us about, you actually are involved, you have your own new business.
I do.
And then you've also been a realtor for many years. So why don't you tell us about your journey, your business and how you got started?
Okay, well, I got started about, oh my gosh, I was 20. I was in college and I became a realtor and I was getting my accounting degree, business degree. I knew I wanted to do business, didn't know what. So my father was a custom home builder and he said to me, he said, literally one day I came in from college, I think summer break, and he said, do you want to sit in my model home and sell houses? And I said, sure, I'll sit there this summer and collect names and if I sell anything, and got my license. And next thing you know, here I am. I did go back and finish. I did get my degree in accounting, but it was kind of the beginning for me of going, I don't think I want to do anything else but real estate. And I knew then that I was an entrepreneur at heart. And so I'm somebody who loves to start businesses. So I start them and they kind of take off from there. I started a new one 2 years ago. I started in the Airbnb business. And that's been going great. I love hosting people. I don't even know what it is. It's like happiness to my heart, but just you have to follow your heart. That's for sure. This summer I started another one that's called Lead Hawk. I have 18 clients so far and I'm looking to grow that. And that's more of a marketing company for realtors. And that's kind of evolved from the market changing and everything kind of happening. There's a lot of realtors getting left behind with the market shifting. And I said, I wanted to help them as much as I could. And I was doing pretty well. So I said, let me do what I'm doing. I'm going to implement with other agents. And that's kind of what I'm doing around the country. All my clients are around the country now. So it's very exciting times. So that's how I got started.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. So Laura, tell us about your business and how you got started.
Sure. Hey, everybody. I run The Third. It is a nonprofit that is based here in Howard County, and our mission is to support women of color entrepreneurs. And the way that it kind of happened is the way that most things seem to happen in my life. I kind of like stumbled and then I was like, oh, that was a cliff. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me see what I'm going to do now. So I went to school around nonprofit arts administration. And I worked in theaters. I worked for the opera in DC. I speak fluent Italian. And so that really helped me in the opera world. I've always sort of been in like arts administration and then had sort of a shift in my life and moved back here. The shift as a 17-year-old person now. She was a whole baby. And I was like, oh, I don't need to live in Brooklyn anymore. And so it brought me back here. I'm born and raised here. And I went into education. So I started teaching Italian actually at Wild Lake High School. And I worked for the Board of Ed. I worked in high schools, and I love it. I have a really clear heart for service. I love seeing where there's something missing and providing it, or seeing someone who maybe feels unseen or unheard and making sure that they can be amplified. And after doing that for 15 years, my heart for service was just a little tired of working in a system. And so I started thinking about, okay, what does that look like next? And honestly, I woke up with an entire full vision for what I'm running now. And so that was January of 2019. And so I've just been working since then to get it out of my head so other people can see it. And we're at a point now where we've been open 4 years. We launched a membership in 2021. We now have 240 members across the DMV. And then I run an 8,000 square foot space down near the lakefront where you should all come through. It's a coffee shop and community cafe, but then also a co-working space. And I wanted to do what it is that I do well, which is create spaces where folks can show up as the best version of themselves. And so that's the third.
Thank you, very good. One thing I was picking up here is that there is no one path. Okay, they've gone on journeys, and sometimes they didn't expect that they were going to be entrepreneurs. But there could have been something in there that they felt, that they were drawn to, a mission. And so that's part of their journey. So just want you to know there's no one path to entrepreneurship. Follow what's inspiring you, what your gut is telling you. So on to the next question. What successes and challenges, I'll start with Kishona, what successes and challenges have you faced along the way?
How much time do you have? Well, I think what you said was very, it's key. By the way, I am a HCC alumni. So I'm always excited to give back, and I'm always excited because I want you to see what success looks like after you make a decision. And so when you say successes and I call them opportunities for growth, they definitely have happened for me. The success, I think, is always to step out and do it. It's take the risk. And I remember about 10 years ago when I started this, I went skydiving because that was kind of like my parallel, that I was gonna jump out of a perfectly good plane to represent the fact that I was jumping into something amazing. That's a whole different story. I'll tell you that later. But I think that's a major success when you just do it. That you don't think too deep about it. You don't think it's like, yeah, there are some things that you need to, some steps you need to take, some interviews you may need to do, but like take the risk. My biggest fear is dying and saying, oh, I wish I would have. I wonder what would have happened if I would have. And so I refuse to die with any stone unturned. Go out, get it done, try it, see what happens. Guess what? I didn't die. I'm still here. And so allow yourself to just really step out there and do it. In terms of failures, I believe I've gone through a lot of personal failures that have really kind of set me up. When I decided 10 years ago to make the decision to become a full-time entrepreneur, about a year later, I was going through divorce. So it's like, how do you do that? What do you do? So entrepreneurship began to look a little different to me because I needed to support my family as well as myself. So what I had to do was get a part-time job. I worked at Old Navy for 3 years, part-time. I was driving to DC, training and developing because my business began to evolve from motivational and inspirational speaking to training and development, and as well as life coaching. And I began to I was going to DC training, coming home, not getting home until 11, 12 o'clock after closing the store. Tired, but I was on a mission. I was focused, and I refused to quit. So things are going to happen in your life because they happen to all of us. But the key is to make sure that you are resilient, that you don't allow those things to knock you out. They'll knock you down. And when you get there, when you get down, sit in it for a minute, not too long. Sit in it, cry, scream, do whatever you need to do. But then get up and make it happen. Make it happen. And that's exactly what I did. So successes are amazing. And I think that sometimes social media will hype up the success of an entrepreneur, kind of making you think that we go in one door and come out the other. We're like, we're, every day is a good day, but it's not. That's the reality of it. But I believe that the beauty of it is that you, again, are resilient, you get up and you keep going. That's what makes a successful entrepreneur. You don't count your failures as failures, you count them as wins. Nelson Mandela said this, I'm gonna hand it over. He said that I never lose. I either win or I learn. And when I learned that, it was gravy from there. I was like, yeah, everything that I'm doing, I don't lose. I win or I learn. And as long as you have that mentality, you'll always be a winner.
Very good. For me, the same question. So, how many of you would like to own your own business? Is that everybody in here? Oh, I like it. Most of them. Let's see, you're not raising there, but I bet you somewhere down the road, there'll be that thought. Well, I think for me, for the failure part of it, I'm kind of with you on that part. I never really look at it as a failure. For me, it's all about, like, every day I wake up, it's about mindset. It is 100%. Where is my head? If my head's not there, I'm not there. And some days I'm not, and I just take off, like yesterday, my head wasn't there. I did what I had to do. I worked for 2 hours. I had the rest of the day to myself. That's the beauty of entrepreneurship, right? People see it as like freedom, and people think, oh, you can be a mom, you can be a realtor. I work 24/7, really. I'm always on, right? I'm always showing houses on the weekends. I'm always working nights, getting contracts. I mean, it's crazy, but that's the world I live in, and I like it because I do get to make my schedule. And I think for me, the biggest failure has been, and this has kind of been a win at the same time, is that there is no cap on my income, right? We all talk about what's happening out there and getting jobs and everything else. I determine what I make. I determine where I go. I determine all of that. And for me, that's like, I don't know. I'm going to die one day, and I'm going to look back and I'm going to go, I did everything I wanted to do. So that's, for me, and there is a lot of failure along with it, but there really is a learning curve with everything. And you have to give yourself grace with that. Even being a mother, oh my gosh, those first few years, I mean, like, I struggled being a mom, and I still do. I have a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, and my 7-year-old, they don't have school tomorrow. What's happening? I have a settlement here in Columbia. My 7-year-old's going to be with me. So he loves it. So for me, part of the learning journey has also been bringing my kids along for the journey, and they witness it, and they see me as a mom who puts it all out there. So
success and failure. So I think the success for me is that the way that I'm just set up as a human, I've got like a bit of I don't know, like a pit bull mentality. Like, once my jaw's sort of locked on something, like, we're done. So I could see what I wanted to create. And so I'm just gonna push forward until I get there. It doesn't even feel like I'm making a decision at that point. It's just moving forward. So then the joke about failures, I feel like, is, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna have like a horrible 2 days. I'm gonna put on my failure playlist and and be really super down. But then what I realize is each failure, each challenge is really just growing like another superpower in me. And I'm like, oh, y'all shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. And so then I have another superpower to take with me to achieve the things that I want to achieve. One of the things I think that I count as like my largest success on this journey is figuring out what role fear plays for me in my world. Because, we all sit up here, but we're all, humans, and real talk, like I'm sweating a little bit. There's fear in doing things. I just do them even though I'm afraid. And trying to figure out where that makes logical sense, right? Because in my mind, for the space that we have this 8,000 square foot space. I had to pitch to Howard Hughes Corporation, which owns 70% of the commercial real estate here, and they're huge. And I've never done anything with corporate, and I've never done a pitch or anything to that effect. But that didn't faze me. I was like, oh, okay, you set it up here, and then we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that. And at the end, they're like, oh, we want to give you an LOI. And I'm like, thank you so much. And I go to my car and I'm like, what is an LOI? But then I'll be like terrified to send an email to someone one day.
Yes.
So in my mind sometimes, right, when logic doesn't come into play, I'm like, whoa, I got to really look at this again, because it makes no sense that I have no problem standing up in front of these people, but I am terrified to send an email today. So then it's just that kind of like shell game with fear. Like where is it popping up and why is it popping up? And I think that's one of my greatest successes on this journey.
Thank you. I think when it comes to fear, entrepreneurship does have ups and downs. I'm on my third business. I've actually sold two, and I have my other one. So I've seen a lot of ups and downs with entrepreneurship. And my favorite quote is that there are no mistakes, only learning opportunities. There's no mistakes, because you learn from it. There's going to be ups and downs, but you have to learn from it and grow from it. And yes, you're going to have fears sometimes, but you have to take that step. I think you were the one that said, you just got to keep moving forward. You take that step. You have to implement. That's how you learn. That's how you move forward. So now we're going to move on to strengths. Okay, so Kishona, what strengths have you utilized to help you be successful?
I believe that I've used the strength of being able to collaborate with people who have strengths that I don't have.
I like that.
I can find people who don't have what you have and not be intimidated by them. Like if there's like accounting, for instance, numbers was just not my thing in school. I people, let's chat. That's me. I had to hire an accountant to do my books, because you can't be an entrepreneur and not do your books. Well, you have to make sure that you know how to handle the numbers. And it doesn't mean that I don't know what's going on, but I am not the subject matter expert. So I believe that my strength is being able to galvanize people that I need in order to play off my weaknesses, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Like, get you some friends. Get some friends that are not afraid or not intimidated by your success, but they help you to shine, and we just all make one big bright light together. And so that's why I would say that's probably been, that has been the strength that has helped me to go along, is that I don't find myself intimidated easily. I walk in my power, and I'm confident about who I am and what I have to offer.
Awesome. Thank you. Nikki, how about your strengths that help you become successful?
Oh my gosh, well, mine are way different. I have never been comfortable in my own skin. I don't know why, with all the businesses I've had. But I have gotten more confident over the years, I will say. But I do think that my strength is more along the lines of the implementation part. I'm really good at implementing, so I always, like, I'll sit in something like this, which I'm always learning. I love, 2 days ago, I was at a Tom Ferry convention with the biggest real estate coaches in the whole world. And it was down in Annapolis. I did not want to go, the parking down there, the traffic. I knew it was going to be a long day. I went, I forced myself to go, and I sat there and participated and learned a lot. But I took 3 things from that day and I implemented as soon as I went home. One of them I did in the car. I made a phone call. As soon as I got in the car, I made a phone call and did that. I don't procrastinate anymore with that. So I think for me, it's been more about the implementation part. It's like, you're always learning, right? You're going to be with TikTok, even you're learning. I mean, come on. all of the sources now. You just are constantly. But I think if you're implementing, you can do anything. And I do agree that you do need people to help you with it all. I think you're right with that part. I think collaboration is key in the entrepreneur world. If you don't have supporters, then find yourself a new group of friends and keep on moving. It's a lonely world when you're an entrepreneur. It's very
Yes.
lonely. And people don't say that.
Yeah.
It is lonely because a lot of people are intimidated by what you're doing,
Yeah.
you know, and
I
I'm
think
sitting,
you're crazy.
yeah, they do. They really do. And I'm sweating too up here. I'm nervous. I don't get up in front of people often, but I'm pushing myself to do it too. And that's something I want to do more of and keep on learning too. So I know you've got this.
Thank you. Laurie, your strengths that help you.
I think, I've mentioned it before, but I have a real ability to see the end result. And so then everything from here to there becomes like, okay, let's just do it. So we're doing wild, crazy things at the Third for the first time. Like example, they this year they were like, hey, we're gonna activate the restaurants on the lake for 4th of July. And there could be thousands of people down here that you're serving. Oh, okay. We've never done that before. We don't know what we're selling. We're not quite sure about the logistics, but we have a team that's down for some experimentation. And even in those ups and downs, when this person gets mad at this person, or this person is crying in a corner because something didn't happen, I can always see the long game and help people to kind of keep moving forward with that. And I would say sort of adjacent to that strength, I have been told that I'm aggressively kind. And I think that strength has really helped building relationships and selling the vision. I'm not a big fan of sales, but I am a big fan of getting people on board. So like sales light, I guess, is what I'm a fan of. And I think that there are certain aspects of my personality that really lend themselves to that aspect of the business.
Excellent. So what I'm hearing, to summarize, vision, having a vision, implementing. You know, the part about implementing is you implement, you learn, then you repeat. You keep doing it and you keep moving forward. And okay, who's done a SWOT analysis? I know, okay, good, because I saw some students of mine and I was glad I know you have. Okay, so basically, when you do a SWOT analysis, you are looking at your strengths. S for strengths, W for weaknesses. And when you're an entrepreneur, you have to figure out what your strengths are, but you also have to know what your weaknesses are. And either you design your business to avoid the weaknesses, or you find people who will fill those weaknesses so you have a stronger team. That's the 3 big takeaways for those strengths. So thank you. Now we are looking forward. I'll start with Kishona. Kishona, what do you find most rewarding about entrepreneurship?
Most rewarding. The ability to dream. I don't have limitations. I just don't. I mean, I'm crazy enough to do it. I mean, if it's moral and legal, I do it. I just try it. And I don't have limitations of a corporation telling me that it's not in the budget, or that's not how we do it, or we've never done it that way. I don't have those limitations. I just dream and I execute.
Do you see any new developments or opportunities happening in entrepreneurship going forward?
I see a lot. I believe that more people are really trying entrepreneurship. One of the things, again, I really encourage people to do is do your homework in terms of making sure that this is something that you can do in this particular season of your life. Because there are a lot of factors that come into play. And again, social media has been incredible in highlighting entrepreneurship. And so we see the great things that are happening. However, one of the common myths I see is that people thinking that they don't have to work for anyone. I'm an entrepreneur because I don't have to work. I don't want to work for anyone. I'm like, yeah, so you do. Because there's always going to be someone signing your check. There's always going to be someone that you are wanting to make sure has an experience with you so that they can give you more money. So you want to make sure that you are constantly, again, evolving and allowing yourself to embrace and grow in areas that may be a little uncomfortable. But say this with me, discomfort is temporary.
Temporary.
It does not last long. You'll get over it. Suck it up, buttercup. Because again, we get comfortable and we don't want to move and we don't want to stretch because this is what we know. But what I'm seeing is that entrepreneurs are really, they're okay with stretching, they're okay with evolving. They just don't know necessarily the little things that need to be done in order to sustain. So you got to make sure that, yeah, you jump out, you take the risk, but you also pay your taxes. That's right. Okay, you got to make sure that, again, I'm not an accountant, but I do know what's going on with my numbers. And when something doesn't look right, I'm calling my CPA and say, hey, what's going on here? So you got to know what's going on. Let your thumbprint be on every area in your business, even though you're not the subject matter expert.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So Nikki, what do you find most rewarding about entrepreneurship?
Oh, I just love the whole journey. To be honest with you, it's like the whole journey. I think it's limitations for me is a lot of it. There's just putting a limit on something for me is not my cup of tea. So I do like having that whole, what am I dreaming of today? And what do I want to make happen? And how can I change the world? Like I ask myself quite frequently, probably a couple times a day in my head, I start going, what can I do today that can help somebody? What can I do to give today? Whatever I give, I always get back 5 times. What can I do to give? How can I help? You know, I always ask people, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? That's why I'm here. How can I help? And I think just overall not limiting yourself and your abilities. I think we all doubt ourselves more than we should. And I really try hard not to doubt myself. I just don't overthink it and just move. I was always an overthinker, and the last 10 years or so, I've worked hard on just doing it. Don't overthink it, just do it. I tell my daughter that at 7, I'm like, don't overthink it, just do it, girl. You got this. You know, you're playing soccer, just do it. It's the same thing. It literally is every part of your life is making what you're doing every day is making your entrepreneurial journey like that. Every decision you're making, right? Who you're surrounding yourself with, what you're learning, you know, what you're putting back out there. What energy are you giving to people, right? If you're not giving that energy, people aren't going to bring that energy back to you. So for me, that's been one of the highlights of this whole journey too, has been the giving part. I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert. Me stepping out, I'm becoming more of an extrovert, but I'm an introverted extrovert, let's be real. And that's a weird place to be. But I don't love sales. Don't love sales at all. I'll be honest with you. Sales is not, and here I am in sales. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just part of the journey, and you push yourself, and I'm uncomfortable almost every day doing what I do. And I love that uncomfortable. I embrace it now and I love it. Yeah.
So I have a question for you. You've seen the real estate market go through lots of changes recently.
Yes.
And you have come out with a software to help them. So how do you see the entrepreneurship changing and developing? And
That's a good question. Yeah, well, let me tell you, it costs about $350 to get an LLC, and then you got yourself a company. And that's literally what I did. I said, you know what, I'm just going to go do it. As soon as I made that LLC and I went and got a bank account, I'm telling you, I was instantly motivated to make it happen. I said, I can't fail. Even if I do, I need to at least take this risk and say I tried, right? So I see entrepreneurship's actually, it's getting easier, I think. I think personally it's easier now. Don't you think? Do you really see it being scary? I mean, you don't have to put a ton of money out now. You don't have to put a ton of work out even in that sense. A lot of it's fun stuff on social media. I'm a big Instagram person. I do believe in the power of social media. I I put a lot of videos out. I'm big on YouTube. So that people always ask me, how do you do all those videos? And I'm like, ugh, I don't love them either, but I do them. But I'm starting to embrace them more and more. The more I do them, the more I like them. It's kind of like theater, but yeah, I really see entrepreneurship going towards, with the whole idea of social media and everything getting bigger and bigger. I see entrepreneurship being more of who can I connect with around the world, and it's going to bring people in who aren't in your circle. Most of the people I'm selling to now aren't people who are friends of mine. It's people I don't even know who I'm making an impact on. And just, it's wild. I mean, there's no limitation on that either right now. And that's going to be the future. So embrace it for sure.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So Laura, what do you find most rewarding about entrepreneurship?
I get to be me. I like all the different random wild parts of like my brain. I like all the different random jobs that I've had or the things that I've been good at, and I kind of get to put them all together in one pot, which feels kind of nice. It also, for me, elicits a lot of like self-study. Like, I was really good at this in this job, but in this new thing, I'm having trouble with it. So then how do I kind of map some of these skills over to make them effective over here? All that kind of introspection, that self-work feels necessary and accelerated during entrepreneurship. So yeah, that's the advantage for me.
Excellent. Do you see any changes in entrepreneurship, new developments?
Sure, yeah. Well, women of color are the fastest growing entrepreneurial group. And within genres of entrepreneurship, creative entrepreneurs are the fastest growing, specifically here in Maryland. And so I'm really interested in how the traditional supports are kind of changing to make sure that they're thinking about creative entrepreneurs, content creators, digital creators, any sort of creative entrepreneurship. And then I think on the women of color front, what I think is so interesting, and one of the things that I have built into the third intentionally, is what does it look like if we're not in competition with each other? Like, what does it look like if we all work together? What does it look like if we recognize that there's abundance and not scarcity? And I think that there's a trend in that. So for instance, if we are at a third networking event and there are 6 candle makers, they're not like in separate corners, like, they're all together, like thinking about where they're sourcing their wax from and, oh, should we do a joint event? And I think, honestly, I think that's the future of everything, is working together, realizing that we're better together than we are separate, realizing that we have more in common than we have different, and that the only way to move through hard things, scary things, challenging things is together. And even outside of entrepreneurship, I mean, it's the year of our Lord 2023, and it's a little scary out there right now. It's a little challenging. And so just, I think what entrepreneurship is doing is mirroring sort of where we need to be going, generally speaking, which is working together more.
I think what we're saying is that entrepreneurship isn't easy, but it is worth it. Each of us have gained so much from entrepreneurship. And we learned that, see, there's a big market out there. Okay, there's lots of people who have needs. And we need more entrepreneurs to meet those needs. So there is a niche for each one of you, and you just have to find it. So, this is my favorite question. So, what insights can you share as a female entrepreneur as to why it is a good pathway for women?
Can we start with Laura?
Right? That's a tough one.
I think it's a great pathway for women because it reinforces how dope we are. And I think that it allows flexibility in a way that maybe traditional careers do not. And I think it also is one of many paths that help to build up the innate confidence that already exists within women. People often say like, oh, the third empowers women. Come on, man. Like the women are empowered. We just need people to like move out of the way a little bit. And I think that entrepreneurship specifically for women brings a level of ownership to their lives in a way that maybe a traditional work path does not.
Thank you.
Kashana.
We're gonna go.
I agree with you on that part. I do think it is, it's ever changing for sure. I do think the flexibility is something that always intrigued me personally, because I wanted to be a mom who could be there for soccer practice. I want to be there for all the stuff. I want to be able to volunteer in my kid's school. I get to go volunteer, you know, how many parents get to do that? Like, there's just a lot to it, right? And for me, it was more of like the whole aspect of like, how do I want to live the rest of my life? And I was thinking this when I was 20 and I was in college, and the real estate market was hot then, and kind of like it was the last few years during COVID. And I was like, you know, I have some time to work. I'm going to go work. I'm going to work hard so that when I have a family, I'm ready and I can be there for my kids. I can be there for my husband. And that's kind of where my head was in my 20s. And I just worked. I worked 90 hours a week. I didn't care. I worked because I said one day I'm going to have that flexibility. And I do now. And for me, it's been worth every second I spent doing that. While all my other friends were getting married and all, I was working all the time. But I think women too, like we always ran households, right? Now here we are running businesses. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. It really is. I use a lot of what and who I am in my household and my businesses. Like I don't really have to put on a different face. I don't have to go to work and be a different person. I kind of am who I am. I don't know. For me, I think that's what women want. Women actually, once they get that freedom and they understand that, it's like a freedom inside yourself that, I don't know, it just empowers me, and hopefully it empowers you as well. But yeah.
Are you ready yet?
Lay it on us.
I can't think of the third Beyonce song won't get out of my head.
Girl.
But I think that, I mean, ditto to what both of you said, because women, we're just amazing.
Mhm.
And there is, an entrepreneurship allows us to be even more amazing than we already are. Because it allows us the freedom, it allows us the authenticity, it allows us the flexibility, everything that's already in us. I believe that entrepreneurship is an expression of that.
Also.
I agree.
And so women, I feel like we just have this opportunity right now in this space, in this season, at this time, in this culture, to do something unprecedented. And I want to make sure that we tap into that. And we don't allow this time to pass us by, because this is definitely our time. Definitely our time. No disrespect, man. But it's our time, yeah.
To piggyback on what you said too, it's kind of like the millionaires are made during the recessions and all, like the hard times, right?
Yes.
So for me, this is like actually, because the real estate market's been changing a little bit. That's why I was like, I'm starting a marketing company, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to help the other realtors. I don't want to see realtors fail. I want to see them all make it. There's plenty of business out there. People want to buy houses.
Yes.
It's generational wealth. For me, it's generational wealth.
Yes.
I buy houses so that my kids will always have a college fund sitting there, and they will always have a place to go if they need to buy a house or have a house. There will always be a house. So that's my feeling with it. And I feel like it's kind of like the way of the future with this whole like internet and everything. I mean, it's changed so much since I was in college 20 years ago, 25 years ago, that the internet and everything is just making it easier for you to kind of jump on board with all that as well. And I see a lot of people in general, not just women, but people in general, just making their own decisions to start a business. And you can have a job and have a business too. You can have both even. You don't have to go 100% in, and it's just not that way anymore. It used to be.
Yeah.
You didn't really have a choice because nobody would hire you if you had a side gig, right? But now everybody will. So I think there's a lot more paths to it as well. And with this recession coming up, I think it's a time for people to jump in. You're never too young. It's never too early. You know what I mean? It just never is. So don't hold yourself back during this time for sure.
Very good. You know, I wanted to add a little bit of my own experience here. We've talked about flexibility as one of the benefits. And I want to stress that flexibility is that ability to sort of make your own schedule. Okay, it doesn't mean you don't work. Oh, we are busting our butts, okay? We're doing a lot of work. But I remember I was working in the corporate world, and my husband and I decided I was working a lot of hours, senior director of marketing for a big company, a lot of hours. And I could not picture bringing kids into my life. I was just working, traveling too much. My husband started his own business. And so, of course, I'm going to be marketing for him. So I started marketing like crazy for his business. And we got to a point where I said, we're making enough money that I don't need to work for the corporate world anymore. We can live off this. That decision, then I was able to have kids. Then I knew that I could balance having a business and having kids. And it has proven over and over and over again in my life. One of my children has special needs. I had to sometimes have a cafe. I had to leave the cafe and just say, you have to take over. I have to run to the school. So I was able to be there for my child. Or whether it's my elderly parents or my in-laws, I've been able to adjust my schedule. We work our butts off, okay, we do, but we have that flexibility to allow us to be there for our families, to our friends. That flexibility and to pull from the strengths that we have. Nikki tapped into it. She said, I feel like I'm using some of the same skill sets that I do to raise my kids, to balance all the activities, okay? Project management. There is a lot of project management when it comes to entrepreneurship. You wear many hats, but it's a fun ride. It's a very fun ride. I'm pretty sure I have another question. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. What is one piece of advice that you would give to our entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs?
Don't stop. Don't stop. You alluded to this a little bit earlier when you said that sometimes it's a lonely journey. Because no one else understands why you're doing this or, you know, what you're doing. Don't stop. Keep going. Absolutely. Keep going. Even when you're at your lowest, crawl to it if you must, but don't you dare stop.
Nikki?
I agree. I mean, I gave out a lot of advice, I think, today, but I think my number one is probably put yourself out there. I think until you don't, like, if you just sit back and you watch other people do it, you're never going to actually get there. And I think if you just put yourself out there and someone says to you, hey, I'd love for, or I'm looking for people for this, and you jump, you have to take that like off the ledge feeling where you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. But even that way with Instagram, when I was doing reels, like I have one reel that has almost 100,000 likes on it. And I have had so many people comment to me. I have had messages that have made me cry. I'm not kidding you, off of this reel. And all it is like this, it's the reel I thought would never even make it on Instagram. I mean, it's wild anymore what people watch. It shocks me. But you just keep putting content out there. You keep putting things out there, putting your feelers out, putting everything you can out there, and things will stick. And you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe that stuck. And then you kind of grow on that. And that's kind of been my journey, has been, even with real estate, every 2 years, the market shifts and we have to change how we market. We have to change how we do things. It's never constant. You're always evaluating what you're doing and what's the next step and how can I be better? So I'm always wondering, how can I be better? And that's why I'm always learning. And, and until you do that stuff, you don't even know what people are going to buy from you. You don't know how they're going to react to you. You don't know, like some of the people I put these videos out for, they turn into real estate clients. Some turn into one of my other clients, my marketing client. It's amazing what you do and you don't stop. The fear part has been amazing to get past. Like I'm pretty fearless now in a way, but I feel like I wasn't for a long time. Let me tell you, feels good to finally, when I hit 40, I was finally about, okay, I'm done with that fear stuff. You know what I mean? I'm just doing it, but it's fun. It's a fun journey. So that's my advice is just do it. Keep going.
Laura,
love
your
it.
piece of advice.
Do what you want. Honestly, like I think we always take for granted that the things that we have and that we use, or the services that we have and that we use, have been here forever. But like, and I'm gonna date myself, but this is the example, so you're just gonna have to go with it. That like, when an iPhone came out, like nobody needed a computer in their hand for their phone. Like we had our flip phones, we were fine. I will hit that 3 times to get you the letter that you need. I live fine. And somebody had to say, no, do it this way. And now it's just so ingrained in our culture that it's something that we would never even think of as innovative. But so I say all that to say, if there's something that you believe in, if there's a skill that you have that you believe in, if there's an idea that you have, or a vision that you have that you believe in, just do it. Just do it. Like this is it. I mean, I feel like we're all we get a little like melancholy up here, but there's this one life. So just do it. And the market needs you. The market needs innovative, cool, interesting, new services, ideas, solutions to problems that only you have been divinely created to make happen. So do you.
Yeah, there's tons of problems out there. Okay. And we need lots of solutions. That's why we need you. So I would like to open it up to questions. So do you have anyone have any questions?
Guys, ask away.
I think that I would love, yeah.
There we go. He said I'm projecting.
Well, when you start a business, I had my own business a while ago, and then I told it, I'm retired of doing business and decided to work actually get paid.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that. And it is fun, but there's a lot of problems associated with that, we all know. Sometimes you said that you don't work for others, but you kind of do. Because you work with the insurance broker, you work with the tax man, you work with the supplier, you work with the utility company, you work with the cleaner, you work with everybody. Everybody gets paid, whatever is left is yours, if there is anything left. So that's always a big responsibility. And if you have a family to support, it's always in the back of your mind, okay, am I going to take this step or not? I dealt with it my own way, but that's always a big hold up. Okay, how am I gonna overcome this bump before I enter into this journey?
Sounds like an accounting question.
There's a lot of stress that come with entrepreneurship. If you have employees, you have the pressure. They are depending on you for that paycheck. You have a family. They are depending on you to pay the bills. So there's a lot of stress, and we talked about it can be lonely. You don't have a coworker necessarily to chat with and complain to, because you're the boss. You're the one who's supposed to hold it together and calm them down. Okay, you don't always have somebody to talk to. That's why you need other entrepreneurs to chat with. We need to group together and collaborate and share and support each other.
Can I say something real quickly? Real talk, everything is stressful, right? So you just choose which stressors work for you.
Yes.
Because working for someone can come with stress, but then it comes with the beauty of, as this gentleman very aptly put out, getting paid on a regular basis that you don't have to be responsible for. Or you're stressed because you're handling everything and you're providing for other people. So it's really just about choosing which stresses that you want, which is really just choosing where your joy lies and then dealing with whatever comes with it.
I think what we were hearing is like, we don't have regrets.
No.
I don't have any regrets
No.
being an entrepreneur.
Neither do
I mean, it can be a crazy journey, but no regrets.
And to add on that too, I mean, I almost went bankrupt in 2009. I had 8 properties of my own. I was single, 26 years old. The real estate market crashed. The banks were giving out loans to everybody for years. Didn't matter your credit. It's like you could buy a house, right? And so all these people I sold houses to were losing houses. Well, I was young and I didn't realize that this was all going to happen and they were going to lose their houses. And to me, that was devastating. I went through a depression with it. It was very difficult. So there is a lot of failure in this. And I did fail. I went and got a pharmaceutical job for a little bit and sold that and said, I need a break for a minute. But I always kept my license and I always jumped back in when the market got a little bit better and it calmed down after 2 years. I got back in and jumped in full force. But I do think there is a lot of failure. Like you see restaurants all the time, right? I hear all the time, we have friends that are starting restaurants and I'm like, I get nervous inside. I'm like, but I know, what am I going to do? I'm going to support them, right? I'm going to write about them on Instagram. I'm going to make a reel. I'm going to do what I can to help my community. And that's kind of where I've always looked at that. And now I look at it and I go, I didn't have that when I was 26. Now I do. I'm not going to fail again. I put the barriers in place to not fail as like I did before. Maybe something else comes along and something fails in a different way. Maybe it's not money. Maybe it's, my business didn't go where it wanted. I didn't hit my goals this year, that type of thing. But for me, it's been more about the community than it has anything else. And that's kind of where I've put all my eggs now. It's more of, you know what, that's why I'm giving now. That's why I'm giving. I want to give more so that people know who I am. I help. I involve my kids. I take them to the food pantry to help donate food. They love it. So it's just giving back a little bit more has been kind of the key to kind of balancing the income and other things as well. And always makes you feel better too. So I think you have to really, once again, it's back to mindset with all of that. I think you really have to keep it in your head that things are going to be like this. You have to put that money aside. You have to have savings. You have to be smart, but there's also streams of income anymore. There's so many things. I mean, I have several businesses, 3 businesses. So, or even 4, I have 4 really. Because I sell a couple other things too, but literally it's like, if you have those streams of income, you are putting things into place so that you don't fail again in that same system.
I mean, that is something to keep in mind when designing is having multiple streams of income coming in. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. And another thing is, like Nikki, there are serial entrepreneurs out there who have had multiple businesses. I hate to use the word failure. Again, it's a learning opportunity. You might decide to close a business. Here's a good example. My husband and I, we sold our business, okay? But we didn't sell the LLC, okay? They just bought the brand, the website. So technically on the records, it looks like it closed, but we actually sold it. So the failure rates might not be quite accurate. I'm not saying that the failure rates aren't high, but you learn. And those entrepreneurs, they might close their business, but they might open something else. They might shift it. They might join forces with another business and collaborate. There's so many ways that things can turn. So just keep learning and evolving.
I also want to make sure that we of course, we're definitely doing I hope our due diligence in letting you know that this is not easy, but I also want to introduce another word to you, and that's intrapreneurship. Yes. And that's when you have that entrepreneurial, if you will, spirit, but you work it inside of an organization. Like you actually help to build that organization while working for them. So I want to make sure that you know of that as well. Entrepreneurship is only one aspect of it, but there is intrapreneurship when you're actually, again, working for an organization. You still have your creativity and innovation, and you're just helping to build that organization internally.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Kashana, because I think it's really important for our students to hear that everything that they're learning about the entrepreneurial mindset can be done while they're working in a system
Yes.
for an employer. And believe me, when you bring that mindset to an employer, you are going to be a valued employee.
Absolutely.
It is really important. So everything that you're learning about entrepreneurship, if you're not ready yet or don't have the finances yet,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
There's a way to practice that, within systems.
Because, and I'll say this and I'll be done. Discipline is so very important in either entrepreneur or entrepreneurship. Or if you don't have a ship, it's still important. Okay, so disciplining yourself to do what's necessary before you jump out there is so very important. So I wanted to make sure that we kind of lead with that word on our hearts and minds. What can I do to make sure that I tighten up in my discipline?
Thank you. I see one more question over here.
So I had a question and a comment. The first one was a comment. So I launched my business earlier this week, and speaking to like the finance that you said and to the tips that you guys had. I'm very, well, I'm trying to break out of this, but I'm very much I'm gonna do it myself. I don't wanna ask for help. And the idea was thrown to me of coming out with like an Amazon registry. And I just wanna say ask for help, 45 items were purchased on my Amazon registry. That's less money I have to put in my pocket, whether it's for the startup, just throughout the business, just ask for help. It is definitely okay to ask for help.
And give me your link, because I want to make sure that I'm.
Yeah, so I'm an esthetician, like a facial relaxing, so if you wanted to connect with me after, my suite is in Destin, Maryland. But then the question I had for you guys was, when it comes to starting up, how do you navigate, the journey of when to get your LLC, when to okay, so I've had people this past week help me set up my suite, and earlier today, the person helped me, look, I gave her a favor, I paid her back in service. But I can't hire accountants. I don't know how to balance my books. So how did you navigate finding a mentor or when the steps? I don't know.
I want to ask.
And the mentor thing is definitely big, but I think overall, the first hire that you really make as an entrepreneur is probably an accountant. It can be a bookkeeper even, as long as it's somebody who's in that field. The bookkeepers are a little bit cheaper sometimes, so you can kind of get one, I think I only pay $200 a quarter or something like that. Just have somebody who's looking over your books to help you with your money, and they'll help you file the LLC. It's really easy you can do all that on your own, but I would definitely start an LLC.
So okay, so last week I applied for my LLC, but then I won't hear back for 8 weeks because I wasn't paying an expedited response. But how soon did you hire an accountant? Were you trying to track your books yourself at first? Did that work? Did it not?
I mean, I was, but that's how I failed the first time. Was I was handling my own money because I had the control thing, and I said I have an accounting background. I could sit for my CPA right now, right? Thinking that, but it turned out that no, that is how I failed. I'm not great at managing my money. I can't be great at everything, So that's one thing I'm not great at is I could buy the stuff and say, hey, that looks great. I'm going to put that expense towards my business, and then I'd be out of money at some point, right? So that's kind of where you need somebody else to kind of tell you, no, this is what you need to do. And that's where the bookkeeper comes into play. I'm sure they have them too, but you have to hire pretty quickly. As soon as you're making money, you have to hire the bookkeeper.
Notice what she said when you're making money.
My
Okay,
first
you need
my
money.
goal for the first 2 weeks is to break even with rent. That's
There you go.
The money has to go right back in.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not profit yet. Once you hit that profit.
Right.
Get the money coming in.
I would
Don't
also say,
overcomplicate things.
unpopular opinion, there's no right timing and there's no playbook, which is what makes this the most terrifying, I think. So if I look back at my business journey, I know I did not follow whatever somebody told me to do, or I didn't ask or whatever, and I figured it out, and I messed up and I figured it out. So trust that what you want to bring to the world and how you want to bring it is gonna carry you through, as long as you have that mindset to keep learning, keep going. So if you mess up on your taxes for a year, I mean, y'all,
No, don't mess up on your taxes. You can.
No. Yeah, don't mess up on your taxes, but I'm saying, you're not gonna, it's not gonna kill you. Do you know what I mean? Like, all of these things, obviously there are learning experiences that hit a little harder than other learning experiences, but nothing's necessarily like an end game. And then I would also encourage you to lean into softwares. There's so many software products out there that help to simplify these things. So a QuickBooks, Gusto, there's so many softwares out there that will
Cheap.
yes, that will categorize your business expenses, help you file your taxes, all of those things. So if you're not at a place where you can afford to have somebody do something for you, look there. The other thing that I love, all entrepreneurs, is Fiverr.
That's what I was gonna say. That pays.
Fiverr is
That's where I got my first bookkeeper for $5 a month.
Fiverr, Fiverr.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, it's, you can find anyone doing anything essentially. And I've hired people for Fiverr to come up with brand logo design for a program that we do. And she was based out of London and was super excited to work at, but it was I think I did all of that for like $600, which is unheard of. When I had this vision, but I'm not an artist, and I had this vision for what I wanted to do, but I wanted to have art in the pitch deck that reflected what my thoughts were. I hired someone on Fiverr. I think I paid for like 6 custom designed cartoons. Like, I'm embarrassed. It was like $80 or something stupid. So Fiverr, every time I hit a wall and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, I remind myself that there's Fiverr.
And talk to Linda, because there are 2 people that I don't play with in life, my mama and our.
It's true. It's true.
Let me tell you.
But I will say too, I coach entrepreneurs. And so many times they will build up all these blocks. They'll say, oh, well, I can't move forward because I need to get this certification, or I need to do this, or I need to get, keep doing your job, keep doing your work, get the money coming in. You'll get to that stuff, okay? And yeah, you might make a little mistake. Okay, don't make a mistake on the taxes, but hey, you can do an adjustment the next year. It's okay. You can fix it. It's okay. Don't let it stop you. Keep moving forward. Any other questions? I know we're over. Okay. Linda, do you want me to tell them about the new location? Sure. Yeah. Okay. We have a new location for the Center of Entrepreneurship and Business Excellence. And it is in Academic Commons 147. Now, if you're one of my students, there is a survey where I sent out, and I want to find out more about your needs. So I will share that with Linda, and she'll get it out to the rest of the business classes. But we really want to make sure we are serving you and make sure the supports are here at HCC to support you as entrepreneurs.